236. And then if you added in precinct 2, project 222, that's 322,792. That's far above what we have to have.
They'll have to do it by site.
Okay.
They'll have to go out and initiate, Buzzy will have to find however many sites that go to that half and do the mileages for those locations.
She said they can do it.
Yeah, yeah.
You can drive it too. We can do it all now. I'm sure you do.
And you don't mind doing extra effort to scale it out for us on that? When do we want to pick project 222 and project 2012?
Yes.
Is that okay with everybody? And then Judy is going to actually do the description of it?
With y'all's help.
Yeah, she's gotta have somebody to tell her which one it is.
Yeah. Okay. All right, can we have a motion to that effect? In precinct 2, we will select project 222. And precinct 3, we'll select project 2012 for the TDA, CDBG grant.
No.
Motion made, seconded, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. That carries. Any other questions for Judy on this first agenda item? That's the only quick, it's 35 minutes, one agenda item, we've got what, 20 something, that should be done by midnight. All right, this next item is, item 3, grant fund for 2016 and 2017, and the Eastland County Water Supply District comes in on this. Discuss and consider county sponsorship by application for grant funds that could be utilized for Lake Leon on behalf of the Eastland County Water Supply District and for use of any other project within Eastland County. And Steve talked to us about this before. Judy's here as well. There's 2 or 3 different opportunities, aren't there, for disasters for 2016, 2017?
And let's talk about them separately. The first one is non-disaster, and it's actually 17-18. It's done at the regional level. It's also Texas Department of Agriculture money, but it's basically for water and sewer. The only applicants for those funds are cities and counties. Cities can make their own applications, but the counties generally, water supply districts cannot make their own application. So Steve has come and talked to you before about whether you would consider making the application for the district. And it can be basically anything water or sewer as long as it's serving 51% of Vermont, which is generally not a problem in Eastland County. It's a approvable project. That application is not due for a while. It's due February, but it's kind of good to start getting it done and get it going before the holidays because it's just easier that way. So that's why we're here today to ask your support.
Steve, what kind of project do you think the water district would want for that non-disaster fund for 275,000?
It'd be some replacement of main water line that was installed in 1950. The exact line would be the last section of the line from the water district, north side of Interstate 20. You'll see CMR yard to the area behind Ranger Meat Company. That section of line goes back and forth across the loop. Highway is 1954 5-mile line. We have replaced a couple sections of line on the Eastland transmission line, but we funded that out of our own funds. This way, that would complete the line replacement from the plant to the city of Ranger's above ground storage.
Then, Judy, this can only be used for water or sewer system, and there's no max on it, is that right?
There is a match, but the district would have to pass a resolution making the match. And it depends on how many persons it's being served, but if it's under 1,500, it's 5%. 1,500 to 3,000 is 10%.
And we would fall within 10%.
And the water district is prepared to pay for that. What about any administrative fees for Judy? That's coming out of the grant.
And I believe there's no
to make this application. We understand the Eastland County Water Supply District can use it for water and sewer service, which is what it's on before now. They will make that motion. Motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed, same sign. And that carries. So that's a non-disaster fund part of that. Let's see. And Steve, you'll tell your board, your next board meeting,
Correct.
we'll make the application on that.
I've given authority to present this today at our trial.
Okay. And then let's look at the one about the disasters. There's a GLO grant, is that right? And also a presidential disaster grant possibility?
Yes.
Okay.
For the purposes of, for 2015 Memorial Day flood, the General Land Office is receiving, and it's not a lot of money for the amount of people that can actually apply for it. There's $29 million, and it's community development block grant funds as well, but just to confuse everybody, it goes to two different state agencies. The General Land Office oversees these disaster funds, and they probably will have an application available in December that will be for disaster. It will be just for disaster funds, and the water district cannot apply for CDBG itself. The county has to be its applicant, and it will be competitive. They have not, General Land Office has not said exactly how that's going to come out, but that it will be towards the end of the year.
And Steve, what would you see the district using these funds for if you were approved?
We would use those funds for co-pay, or percentage pay on the hazard mitigation grant that we have pending approval. Because that's going to be in excess of $1 million, the co-pay section.
And there's not a cap on it yet. They've not, those monies do not come down with a certain amount of dollars tied to them. The agency has to decide that, and they have, and put that out.
What is a hazard mitigation project?
Hazard mitigation for terminology, it's for the spillway change, plus the dam slope change.
Okay, good. Okay, any other questions or comments on this possible GLO grant that Canada make an application for the water district?
Well, actually,
That's the next one.
that's the next
Okay.
one.
And we have a motion then, if that's the direction of the commission court, to make the application to GLO for these funds to be used for Eastland County Water Supply District for the 2015 disaster plan. Made and seconded, all in favor, say aye. Any opposed, same sign, and that carries. Okay, now then, the final one, and will you tell us about this? This is for 2016 flooding and presidential disaster.
Yes, at this point, there's not been a legislative set aside, so this is just to tell the Commissioners Court that, well, call your elected officials, particularly at your federal level. The more folks call, the more likely it is that there'll be a legislative dollar set aside through the Community Development Block Grant for the state of Texas for the 2016 Memorial Day flood. But if they don't hear from people, they don't do it. Eastland County certainly is the recipient of a lot of damage from the 2016 flood. So I put together a letter, sent it to the judge and to Steve. It's just a draft. You're welcome to change any portion of it. I'm certainly going to talk to Cisco about it here in a few minutes. I'm going to go over there. And I'll call the city of Eastland as well and see about having them do it as well. Y'all had the damage. It takes a federal action for the senators or the House of Representatives to put it on the budget as a line item, a budget for the state of Texas for disasters. They did $155 million for the 2015. What you would like to do is then to have it set aside for Eastland County so that you're not competing for the funds. They set aside monies for San Marcos. San Marcos got to receive $25 million for the damage that happened in San Marcos. Houston received $66 million for 2015 floods. But if you don't ask, you don't receive. So it would be it would be good for y'all to ask. And Cisco's really hurt, and I know there's other parts of the county that are really hurting. The district has received damage as well, so you should ask. So that, it's not an, I don't know if you put it on as an action item, it's more of a report for the.
Well, if you want me to send a letter and sign it, maybe an action item, what we, discuss here.
Okay.
So we've actually already used some of the funds right now as what we would have gotten in 2015. It's a request. It's a letter that I would send making a request to the set aside. I read the letter proposed, and so what we're looking at today is the commission report grants me the authority to sign the letter. That's kind of looking at that.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to send a letter to the federal delegation to try to get some money set aside for damage Michigan. Motion made, second, all in favor, say aye.
No.
Any opposed, same sign. Okay, and I've got the proposed letter, and I'll look at it some more and put it on letterhead. I'm assuming that in that motion you're giving me the authority to sign as well.
Oh,
Okay. So, you will, and we'll do.
Well,
I've Santa Claus.
Well, thank y'all. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Judy.
Thank you.
All right, let's get to item number 4, present continuation certificate and rider to a bond for Assistant County Treasurer in the car.
I'll go first, sir.
Okay.
The continuation certificate simply just extends her term year. And then during that, they discovered that they had her personal address as a location, so the rider will be changing that address. And all we need is just the approved report.
Okay, is there a motion to sign?
Yes, sir.
Now, can we have a motion to accept this certificate and rider for Assistant County Attorney, Assistant County Treasurer Rena Farr, and to allow me to sign it? Motion made, second, all in favor, say aye. Any opposed, same sign, and that's carried. There we go.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now, number 5 is 2015 continuing education. County Auditor, present report on Eastland County Elected Officials 2015 continuing education required hours. Steve?
You each have a copy of the report, and this is for the calendar year 2015. Every elected official is in compliance. I do need to note that District Clerk Tessa Calderhouse took office in July, and she has 1 year to complete her first 20 hours. So on hers, I have not applicable because she had not completed her 20 hours by the end of 2015. But otherwise, everybody's in compliance.
Okay. Now, can we have a motion then to accept this report on the 2015 continuing education hours? Motion made, second, all in favor, say aye. Any opposed, same sign, and that's carried. Number 6 is file the Government Capital Corporation Public Property Finance Act contract.
You each have a copy of the contract. The court signed a resolution allowing Judge Fields to sign the contract, and it is signed at this date. And on page 7 is the breakdown showing the annual payments, and this is for the election equipment, showing the 5 annual payments. And it is at the 2.297 interest rate that was quoted. And then I have one amendment. The escrow agreement, because I asked that government capital hold the money in escrow rather than sending it to the county and letting us hold it, because we're in cross fiscal years. There is an escrow agreement. Kathy, did you get us on? Okay. I'm going to And that's just requesting government capital to hold that in escrow until we actually receive the election equipment.
There's a document here of style authorization to pay the vendor to Hartford Civic. They have not signed. Do we need to wait until
Yes.
we need to pull the funds out of escrow?
Yes, sir.
Right, okay. Okay, what action do we need to take this time, then?
To just accept the contract file.
Then we have questions or comments about either the contract or the, partnership. Okay, we have a motion to accept the Public Property Finance Act contract and the rest of them. Motion made, seconded, all in favor, say aye. Any opposed, same sign, and that's carries. Okay, item number 7 is Justice of the Peace Collections, Sue Glover and Justin Blom, with Purdue, Raymond, Fielder, Collins, and Mott LLP. Presentation regarding Justice of the Peace delinquent case collection. Please come up.
Good morning.
Good morning. And then just for the record, we've got, I think Judge White is here back there, and Stephanie is here as well, Stephanie Johnson, clerk for the JP Court. Okay. So Justin, tell us what we have here today.
Good morning, Judge. Make sure everybody gets a copy. I made 7, so thank you. I am Sue Glover. I'm with the Purdue Brandon Law Firm. Justin Braun is an attorney out of our Wichita Falls office, and we are glad to be here this morning and give y'all a little update on kind of what we do. I think this all came about, we were at the County Auditors Conference, and Loretta we were in a group, and it came about that, and that proposal is wordy and long, and y'all don't need to read it. But I brought it, because it has some important parts to the back of it that show our client list. And I think that's probably one of the key components of that, to show you how many of you are represented. But this report that is just loose in your proposal is a document that we can sit up here and say, oh, we're the best collection firm out there, which I kind of think we are. But how do you prove that? How do you really go against somebody else and say, well, Sue says she's good. Well, GHS says they're good. Well, McCurry says they're good. So how do you really ever come up with any quantitative information to show that? And what we did was, in Young County, we were fortunate enough, and Young County is very similar in size to y'all, also has 2 JPs. We were fortunate in 2013 and 2014, GHS represented 1 JP, and we represented 1 JP. And so we really then got to see the actual numbers. So we really could show a comparison of who's really doing the better job. And as you can see in 2013, which we're even missing January for us in 2013, and these are checks that the county auditor or the treasurer actually wrote to us. So these amounts are not necessarily collection numbers. So like in February, where that check number, that was the check that the county auditor wrote to GHS. In February, you look at our number, 2,541. That's the number the county auditor wrote the check from. And the way that delinquent fines and fees run in every county, it's done by statute, every collection agency does it, is that we put on a 30% fee on top of what the offender owes. So if you take this $12,000 that was paid to GHS and $14,000 that was paid to us in 2013, what the actual collection numbers, which I had to go back in time and really think of my math skills to figure this out, how you get it back of, okay, what did we actually collect? And so 42,399 was what was collected for the county from GHS. 47,000 was collected for the county from us in 2013. And then in 2014, you see those numbers. GHS collected 35,000, 543, and we collected 45,277. So there's a difference there. And people are going to ask me, well, why do you think there's a difference there, Sue? I think there's a difference because of how we go about our company. And I've been around county government for a long time. I've known some of y'all for a while. I worked for Jim Allison for 7.5 years, and I went to work for TAC, worked in the governmental relations department for 8.5 years, and now I've been with Purdue for 13 years. So how do we do that? And I used to tell people that I started with when I was 12, but the older I've gotten, I'm down to about 8 now. And as I listened to y'all's agenda items this morning, I mean, one of the things that counties are struggling with, and as we come into a legislative session where the legislature is looking at our property taxes and probably going to make changes there or attempt to make changes there that will really hurt our counties and our local governments, you have to look at where every dime is. You got to pick up that rock and look where every dime is. And I think as far as we're concerned, all we do is collections. We don't have a software company on the side. We've been doing it for over 45 years. We started doing it with delinquent tax collections. And then the fines and fees aspect kind of just came about because we were doing collections. And so we've been doing fine and fee collections now we started in Brazoria County about 17, 18 years. And it was just a natural fit. Because if you can find somebody, if I can find Commissioner Rutledge that he's a 5th generation heir to a piece of property that's in Smith County, and I've got to sell that piece of property for delinquent taxes, but I've got to find all these heirs. So our research skills, our tenacity, I think that's been the big difference about how we go look under every rock and try to find that person. Because every dime is important to you. Yeah, we get paid off of that. So our incentive, we don't have anything that's subsidizing us. Our incentive for our company to be successful is for you to be successful and for you to be collected. I compared y'all, and I'm really using y'all and Young County as a really good comparison because in those particular counties, Eastland County has a population of 18,171. Young has a population of 18,270. You're similar in your JP courts. You each have 2. So you're a real good comparison. The difference in the comparison stops, though, at the number of cases that are filed. Y'all's cases, and I ran this report off the Office of Court Administration, which that's where all the courts have to file their information showing how many cases they've had filed, how many are pending. Y'all have quadrupled the amount of cases as in Young County. So you have more money out there, you have more, your JPs are 4 times as busy essentially as the ones in Young County because of the volume. And as we all know what the volumes cost from, it's where your location is. Little Oldham County, Vega, you should see their fine and fee collection. Their delinquent tax collections are all in because everybody pays their taxes in that little community. But because they're on the interstate and where they're located, they're fine and fee collections. So that's the difference, is that y'all have 2 very busy courts. When GHS comes out, and I think, when I was hired by the firm, I said, if you want me to badmouth our competitors, I said, I won't do that. They said, that's why we're hiring, because we know that your credibility goes a long way. And so I think, and I used to tell people, when they ask about software, because we get that question a lot, who do you think has the best software? Well, it depends on what you want. And thank goodness I've been around for a long time, I kind of know. from an auditing standpoint, you can't beat NetData. Their software, I think, is amongst the best. And my county auditor friends will be the first to tell you that as well. But when you look at collections, I think that's where the difference is that we solely do collections, that's all we do. And we're tenacious about it. In the back of your packets there, we have a series of 4 letters that we use. And the first letter is kind of nice, and it says, hey, you owe this to Eastland County. The second letter gets a little bit more aggressive and says, you need to really pay this. Warrant's going to be issued for your arrest. And the third is even a little more aggressive and says a warrant has been issued. And those are general letters that we use, but we work with each of our courts to determine what kind of letters they want sent out.
Do you generate each one of those letters?
We generate, yes sir, we generate each one of those office. The last letter is our warrant roundup letter. And that's held by the state, started this warrant roundup, years ago. They do it in February and March. And if you go back and look at those earlier numbers that I showed you for GHS and ourselves, if you look at February, March, and April, you see these big explosions of numbers. Well, that's why, because they participated in the warrant roundup. And you have I had a client, the city of Rollingwood is right in Austin. You'd never even know it's over there by Zilker Park. But they incorporated, they didn't want to be part of the city of Austin. So they were our client. And several years ago, the court clerk said, Sue, don't send out any letters. We're having an issue with our software company. And we're duplicating these. I said, okay, not a problem. Well, then he calls me and he's really upset. And he said, Sue, I told you not to send out any letters. I said, Kelly, we haven't sent out any letters. And he said, well, I've had about 3 or 4 people come in and pay. I don't know why. And about that time, I looked at the newspaper, the Austin American Statesman, and it was warrant roundup. And I said, Kelly, you're just getting the benefits of the newspaper. And that Austin does. Austin and Travis County, they do a big warrant roundup. And so that's why you see a lot of those increases, because it's statewide. We encourage our entities to participate because the results are great. But we work with each of your courts. What can we do? Can we do the exact same things that GHS does? Because the thing about NetData is that they have access to that software. So they can go in there and pull that data so that the courts continue to work on what's current, but don't have time to work what's on delinquent. So GHS does all that for them. Well, what we do is we pay GHS, and it depends on your court volume. It could be anywhere between $1,500 and $2,500 to access their system so that we can do exactly the same thing. Pull those files, do their Omni reports for them, which Omni's the statewide database now. So we try to be mirror to mirror of what GHS can do. As far as the actual process, how it works. But I think we have a huge call center that we start calling people if they don't. If we know they have a good address and they don't respond, and Commissioner Rutledge hadn't paid that, we're going to continue to call him if we know that that's a good number. We're very professional with that, but we try to, it's not fair. It's not fair for the people that get a ticket in Eastland County that pay and pay on time. It never goes delinquent. For those people that are going through the county and say, I'm never going back through there again, so I'm not going to pay this. It's just not fair. And so we try to be as aggressive, politely aggressive, to retain the money for our clients, because it's our number one goal.
So let me ask you a question. It looks like on 2013 and 2014 is when you had the 2 different collections going on for Young County.
Yes, sir.
Now, I'm noticing here on the list of clients who now got both of those.
I was going to, thank
Okay.
you for saying that.
Did they just do that like in 16 or?
They just
15?
switched back in 15,
So
in
Young
2015.
County thought it was worthwhile enough that now both of their.
Both courts.
are
The
here.
JP that was using GHS decided to switch to us and has since 2015. And Justin said this earlier, both of those courts in Young County are great references for us on how it works, how not much changed. Because that's the thing, your JP court's 4 times busier than the ones over there. So what they want to make sure of is that the ease of the job is completed, but at the same time, your collections are done in a more efficient way.
Right, and then I'll just kind of echo, I've only been doing this for 4 years, so I don't have near as much experience as Sue, but down in Young County, Judge Darwin said, I think he made a good comparison. He said, you know, if I was going to get a truck work done, I'd call somebody I trusted and say, you know, who do you use? Who's your mechanic? Who's somebody you trust? So I think he gave Judge Mailer a call there in Holland and said, who do you use? Well, he used us, and he had GHS before, and he said, hey, collections have increased. We're, you know, that law firm letterhead with Drew Brandon's a well-known law firm, 181 counties we do work in, collection work, finding fee work, tax work. He said, I trust them, they do a good job, collections have increased, and I think that really, you know, our references speak highly about us. Judge Roach in Stevens County, he made the switch about late last year. He's a good guy down there, and he had GHS also. It's been a smooth transition for him, and I think he'd definitely give us a glowing recommendation and show that his collections have increased significantly.
Has that worked okay where you're accessing somebody else's data, or you're data mining there?
Yes, sir. We do it in a lot. It varies throughout the state, Judge, depending on software. And that's the thing that I found too when we've taken over for GHS in the net data software. There's some courts that said, well, wait a minute. We were told that that's how we had to do it. But we really don't want to do it like that. We would much rather prefer to do it this way. Then we say, okay, do it that way. So we work with every software vendor across the state. In some courts we have where they want us to go in, they want us to do everything, they want us to pull the data, they want us to then go with the letters. We have some courts that want to go, I don't want you to pull it, I want to go through there and check which ones I turn over to you. So it depends and it varies by the state. We also have a really good reference close to y'all. We do the City of Eastland's work. And I think Dina over there, the court clerk, would tell y'all that in the last 2 years or year, it's not been almost 2 years. In September, I think it'll be 2 years. We've collected over 76,000 for them. So, and again, they don't have the volume that your JP's do. So, and we are currently Cook County, Young County, Hansford County, Somerville County, and Stevens County all use the net data software, and we have taken over for the GHS portion of it.
Judge White, Stephanie, do y'all have any questions about how this might work?
Y'all the ones doing the contract with it, so whatever you think. I like what we've got. I think it's done a good job for us. I did bring some stuff here to show what they've done in the first 4 months of this year, because when Loretta brought it up to me, I didn't put it in the state. If y'all want to see that, you're welcome to, whatever. So, I'm happy, but if y'all want change,
Have you heard any of your JP counterparts across the state have any feedback about using Brandon Purdue Brandon?
no. What I've heard from all the JPs is it's pretty much the same with all of them. I have not talked to Young County JPs to see if they said yes, it was an increase or it wasn't. I know that we have so many bad addresses in ours where we have twice as many as everybody else does because the interstate's going through here.
That's right.
And it's Joe Blow's brother saying I'm my other brother.
That's right. And really, that's what stalls you to begin with, is that, you know, when you get that ticket and it goes to the JP court, well, they do a really good job of trying to move and to get collections on it. But usually it's because you have bad address. A lot of times it's out of state. You can't even enter it into Omni. And I think that's what kind of maybe sets us apart, is that we do have all the resources. We have 11 offices across the state. we have all these resources to go find that person. And I think that's truly the difference, is the
Is
resources.
this a one-year contract? or
It's a
is it multi-year?
30-day contract,
A
Judge.
30-day contract?
30-day contract.
Really?
So that if either party is not happy, you can get out of that contract. And that's what, we've made it 30 days because, we don't have very many of them cancel.
It's a good incentive to keep us on our toes too.
That's right.
Keep us working hard.
And just to review, it doesn't actually cost the county any funds to use your service.
No, sir, it
It's
does
an
not.
additional administrative fee that is applied to the court costs and fines.
That's right. It's set out in the Code of Criminal Procedure. The legislature added that fee, so that it's 30% on top of whatever the offender, whatever amount that is. And we also, we only get paid on what's collected, so that if the judge changes an amount, say that he issued a failure to appear, that person didn't show up for that ticket, well, that's a very hefty fee. But sometimes the judge will say, well, wait a minute, that was a good excuse why that person didn't come, so they'll knock off that fee. And so, even though our letter that we sent to that person may have had that failure to appear percentage in their amount, the judge changes that, it changes our amount. If the judge dismisses something, in Eastland, in the city of Eastland, I said we collected $76,000, but $27,000 was disposed of, and over $37,000 was discharged. And that could have been somebody coming in and saying, I'll set it out in jail, because you have to.
Community service will count for that too.
Yes, sir. Whatever the judge decides is part of that plan. And so we never take away that authority, and we work very closely with our courts to make sure that if anything changes, that we only get paid on that amount. And the only cost that would be incurred in this whole procedure would be from us paying Net Data, which actually owns the software, to access the software so that we could work through JPs.
Right on page 3 of this contract, it says, county shall calculate and receive the amount of any collection fees due to Purdue. Said fees shall be paid to Purdue by check on a monthly basis. Does that create a kind of issue between your office or Christina's office? That's what we have now.
And it would be just like you're doing now for GHS. And depending on how often GHS runs your report, that could go from, I have some counties, Judge, that are so small that they only send us an updated file. Of course, y'all's is pretty busy, but we may get it once a quarter because they're really small. And so we only bill once a quarter. And we only bill, that's the great thing about having the software and the access to it, is because then we run a report once we get new files that are turned over to us that have Commissioner Rutledge's ticket in there. Which you really need to pay that.
She's on here.
You're just sitting across from me today. Yeah. But then there's another report that's generated that says, well, Commissioner Rutledge, his fee went from $260 to $130. So then when we invoice the county, it's for that $130. So they always match. And that's the important part of having access to the system. And that works throughout the state with other software companies as well.
I'm assuming Russ hasn't had time to look at this.
No, he has not.
We typically have our district attorney review any kind
Yes,
of
sir.
legal contract before we sign.
But, I wanted to come today and just kind of give y'all an idea. And like I said, it helps so much having numbers now, that it's not just me saying, that we actually have numbers and we have good clients that are happy with our service, but still low.
And the fact that you had both JPs are now with Brandon Purdue.
Any other questions for us?
Stephanie, anything else?
Anything from
Your
us?
perspective? Okay. I think we need to do something to try to increase the collections, and if this works, it's great, if it doesn't work, we've only got a 30-day obligation, so.
If you think about that 30-day contract, it gives you a good chance to get us in there, give us a couple months, hopefully increase the collections for the county.
Right. And we work very closely. In fact, that's one of my main jobs, is to work with the courts to make sure that we're doing everything they need us to be doing, to make sure that collections are done the way they should be.
Well, I'm in favor of trying it, I think we need to have it reviewed by legal
Sure,
to make sure
sure,
there's
Judge.
nothing that's harmful to the county.
When are y'all looking for to start?
Whenever you tell us to start.
So do you want permission to sign it upon Rush's approval?
I think that would be good. Motion made, seconded then to enter a contract with Purdue, Landon, allow me to sign said contract after legal review if there aren't any issues that come up.
If you have any questions after you read, I know you haven't got a chance to read the whole proposal, but you call Sue and myself, and we're right, Wichita Falls, so we're right down the road if you guys need anything.
Yeah.
We've got a motion second before us, any further discussion? If anything, you on justice court? And the right, anything about the way it's gonna work with this plea or this thing?
No, I will leave that behind before we do anything else.
All in favor, say aye. Any opposed, same sign, and that carries. All right.
And I promise,
You gotta pay the
next
fine,
time I
right?
won't make fun of you.
Do
I'll go down to this end of the table.
I mean,
we have a contract beyond what's just in here?
I can get you another one, Judge, or that one.
That's fine, I'll just take this out and take it down the road.
I was gonna say mine doesn't have road finishes in the back.
Okay.
I can get you this one. Not sure all the pages.
Page 6, I believe, 4 pages, and the end of it is a signature page.
Yeah, I think we're missing a
Well.
page.
It's got 4 numbers, but we're missing page 3.
No, we're missing page. Well, I think the number, no. Then I go to 10.
Page
I'll
3
get you-
starts out method of payment here.
Yes, sir. Okay, you
I'll
got
just,
it.
I'll just strip one out of this and just send it down there.
Perfect. If not, Judge, let me know.
Okay.
Be glad to get on another copy.
Sure, we can make sure that I'll just send this whole package down to Russ, and he can look at it.
Thank y'all
Okay,
very
thank you.
much.
Thank you, Sue, thank you, Justin.
You
Thank
betcha.
Thank you guys, appreciate it.
Sue, here's
He
your.
wants to leave these checks
Oh,
right
thank
here.
you, Judge.
Okay.
Gotcha. Perfect, perfect.
Need a motion to take a short recess. Motion made and seconded for short recess, all in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign.